everybody? Welcome back once again to Hot Toys Hotline. As always, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are currently sitting at about 365 subscribers and have a goal of 500 subscribers. So if you haven't already and you enjoyed what we did here today in this video, please consider doing so. Also, guys, for those of you that don't know, we do have a giveaway running on the channel right now for an Arkham series Harley Quinn hot toy. It's free to enter. If you haven't already, head on over to that video, subscribe to the channel, and get yourself entered to win that hot toy. Guys, I got a fun one for you today. Today we are unboxing and reviewing the 1/6 scale Eric Draven from The Crow by Sideshow Collectibles. Let's jump down to the light box and take a closer look at the figure and all of the accessories which it includes. It can't rain all the time. Everybody, I am very excited to unbox this. This is the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Eric Draven figure from The Crow. I am very excited, but before we jump into the accessories and all of the details on the figure, I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like when you first open up the packaging. We got to look at this beautiful, very colorful, very film accurate packaging here in the initial shot of the video. As you can see, after you kind of remove that top clamshell piece, you are greeted with this typical cigar wrapper that we see with the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale figures. And you see Eric and all of his accessories are on the inside. But I'm going to take everything out, and then we'll take a closer look at all the accessories and all of the details on the figure. Alright everyone, I've got all of the accessories taken out of the box. So let's go through each accessory individually, and we'll take a look at all of the details. Starting off with the most basic accessory. I will say, right off the bat, I have a complaint about this. I don't like that the Crow font is on the bottom. That's just a personal preference. Some of you guys might like that clean kind of slate black look on the top. But they've been kind of inconsistent across the Sideshow lines with this. I know some of the horror figures have the text on the top. Some don't have any text at all. I would have preferred to have this on the top because I think it looks very nice. And I like that they use that Crow style font. So that is a bit of a complaint from me, but again, that all comes down to personal preference. Of course, it comes with this display stand piece here and your normal kind of crotch grabber, so that is a display stand. Let's move on to the guitar. Now, this is the exclusive accessory. You can see here, guys, mine does have some defects on the finish here. That is a bit unfortunate. However, with all that aside, this does look very nice. The whammy bar does move a little bit, but it is very flimsy, so be very careful with that. It does have real metal strings, it feels like, and I think these feel very solid and nicely done. Overall, this is very beautiful. I think they did a good job on it. Really not many complaints here. You can see the tuning forks close up. Really, really nicely painted, and I think the silver kind of looks like real metal there, so I think Sideshow is definitely getting better with that. On some of their older stuff, I feel like the silver wasn't quite chrome enough to make it look like real metal, but that is not the exception here. I think this looks really, really nice. You can see the bridge down here and everything looks great. It does come with a pleather guitar strap here, and you can see it does attach like a normal guitar strap would. I'm going to do that before the end of the video. Once we get to the posing segment, you'll see that in action, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'll give you another little close-up here of the strap. This is a soft pleather material, but nicely done. I don't have any issues with this. But alright, let's move on to the hands. Now, kind of one of the best accessories in this set, in my opinion, is the hand with the bullet hole in it. You can see that blood is kind of really nicely done there. I think they did a good job, and you can see it kind of runs through the bullet hole in the hand. If you haven't seen the movie, you definitely have to. You'll see the significance of that in the movie. But as you know, he gets shot in the hand. You can see he is wearing Shelly's wedding ring there. I think that's a really nice touch. Now, before I put this hand down, I just want to kind of note, it looks to me like they put a little bit more time in the paint work on this hand, because it is a hand that's kind of like displayed in your face when you're displaying them with this hand. And I kind of found that interesting. You could see, to me, it looks like the paint work is better on this hand specifically. And we'll even grab another one, just so I could show you. You can see it's not bad on the other hands, but it looks like they just kind of focused more on this hand because it is something that's kind of being displayed in your face, and they wanted it to look good. So I found that kind of interesting. But Nonetheless, we might as well move on to this hand. So this is kind of a right trigger finger here, and you can see there's plenty of room. The plastic isn't super flexible, so definitely be careful when you're putting the gun in that hand. But overall, I think the hands look good. This is about standard for the Sideshow collectible figures. I love that kind of black wrap look that goes along with the costume for Eric Draven. I think that looks really, really cool. And of course, the Sideshow hand pegs are built in here to the hands, so every single one has that hand peg. Moving on, we kind of have like more of an open, relaxed hand. This hand, personally, I could see using for the guitar, if you kind of want to have him playing the guitar. Or, of course, you can have him kind of cradling anything, or even have the crow in his hand with this one. Again, same really good paint apps there. I think that looks pretty decent in my opinion. Alright, here we kind of have a left gripping hand. You could either use this for a firearm, or the katana, of course, that he comes with. Looks really, really nice. I have no complaints there. I do think overall they did do a better job on the paint on the hands than like the Sideshow horror figures. Not that those are bad. I just think they were all kind of the same across the board, and I think they kind of kicked it up a notch on this one, so I'm happy to see that. Alright, and here we have a right gripping hand. Again, you could use this for a firearm, you could use it for the katana. Kind of use your imagination. Really, really nice. Here is a left relaxed hand. Again, you could put the crow in this. You could use this as kind of part of the guitar playing poses. Whatever you want to do with that. And finally, this is a left trigger hand. You could also kind of tilt it this way and make it like a pointing finger as well. These hands I feel are pretty versatile. But again, the main purpose seems to be for the firearms. And you can see there's really nice detail on the hands there. I think they did a great job sculpting these. It seems like they love to put veins on their hands from Sideshow Collectibles when they do a lot of these figures. They all are very veiny, so I find that interesting, but I don't think it looks bad. It's just kind of what that sculpting team likes to do to make them seem more realistic in their eyes. Next, we can't have Eric Draven without a crow. Now, I will say I don't think this looks bad. The details are a bit soft, I'll be honest with you, and there's really no dimension to the paint. Granted, it is just black. I understand that. Trust me, I get it. The eyes look very nice. They put that same kind of gloss on the eyeballs, and I do think overall the sculpt is good. You can see there's that beak of that crow, and I do think it's very cool. Just think it's a bit soft, and that may be due to how dark black the paint is. It's kind of hiding some of the details, because I do not think it is poorly sculpted whatsoever. The plastic's pretty hard. This portion here is flexible. The back of the tail here. And you can kind of see those feet very nicely sculpted in my opinion. No complaints there. There's a little bit of a gold paint there. I personally do not remember that from the movie, so I don't know if that's intentional or not. You can see they even sculpted the bottom detail on the feet. So again, overall, I don't think this looks bad at all. I just think it looks a bit soft in the details, and that may be because of the paint, to be honest with you, but I'm satisfied with this. Now, I did hope that there would be some sort of magnets or something in this to kind of stick it on Eric's shoulder, but unfortunately they did not do that, but that's okay. I still think this will be a great piece, and like I said earlier, you can kind of hold it in his hand like this or do something like that, and it'll be really, really nice in your display. Moving on to Eric Draven's weaponry. Sorry, I kind of bumped the camera there. So you can see we have his katana here. And again, I mentioned earlier, Sideshow has done a better job with the silver paint. Is it perfect yet? No. But I do think they're starting to make their stuff look a bit more like metal. It used to be very, very dull in the past. And I think they're doing a better job with that. You can see the details here on the wrapping. Really, really nice. And you can even see there's some texture in between the wraps. So I think they did a really good job here. I think this looks awesome, and I have no complaints about this. Let's grab the shotgun. Now, there are some kind of defects here on the paint. I've noticed on both sides. I don't know if that's intentional. It doesn't look like it to me. So that's a minor gripe from me, but it does have a reciprocating charging handle. However, it is a bit unfortunate that the chamber doesn't open when you function the charging handle, because that's kind of standard now. We've seen it from Damn Toys, we've seen it from 3.0, and we've of course seen it from Hot Toys plenty of times, so a bit unfortunate that they didn't add that in. I know it's not a huge deal when you're displaying it, but I do think it makes it kind of more realistic. And if you want to have him kind of pumping it back and opening the chamber to reload or whatever, you can't do that, unfortunately, because they did not include that. But overall, I do think there's some really nice details. You can see on the grip there. Nice little stippling and stuff on the grip and some detail on the charging handle. And again, I am impressed by the silver finish on these firearms. I think they did a much better job this time around with making it look more like real metal. Of course, we have the famous revolver. Now, I think this is probably the best firearm of the bunch. Not only because it has very nice details and such, but it does have some action to it that the other ones really do not. You can see it drops out at the cylinder. I would have liked to have seen the gold, like brass bullets in there, but unfortunately you cannot. It does rotate as well, but this is really well done. Unfortunately, the hammer doesn't move on this one, but I think this looks really cool nonetheless. And finally, honestly, this is the most disappointing accessory of the bunch. Unfortunately, with this one, there's really no depth to it whatsoever. You could see it just looks like a cheap plastic toy. They could have at least thrown on some weathering or kind of painted it to look more like a real firearm. This looks very cheap. The slide doesn't reciprocate at all, and that is kind of a standard again from a lot of these companies, so very unfortunate to see that. This one actually does have a hammer that moves up and down, so again, it's weird that there's kind of an inconsistency there between this and the revolver. And again, this one just does not look that great to me. Is that a huge detractor from the figure? No, because I would never use this one in particular, but again, you could see it just looks kind of cheap. But that is it for the accessories, guys. Let me go grab the figure and we'll take a look at all the details. Alright, now here we are with the Sideshow Eric Draven figure. First, I want to get a close-up of that head sculpt, guys. So I've seen a lot of people saying that they either see the likeness to Brandon Lee or they don't see the likeness of Brandon Lee. A lot of people are saying it looks like Sting, what have you. Me personally, is it 100% Brandon Lee? No. But I do see a bit of Brandon Lee in there, and I think it's good enough to where I'm very satisfied with the figure. I do want to show you, they did a great job at the glossing on those eyeballs, and if I can get even closer, you could see really, really well done on the eyes. And I think the head sculpt overall looks great. They have that nice scar detail there, all of the painted in detail. Is the hair as finely detailed as it would normally be from, say, Hot Toys? No. But overall, I think it looks really good. I like the shape of the hair, and I like kind of how it dangles over his face there. I think that looks really good. And overall, I do like the look of the face, and I do much prefer the expression on this one over the Hot Toys one. I know the Hot Toys one's pretty old, so I don't want to go too crazy comparing those. But just in terms of the expression on this one, I much prefer the relaxed look. Now, before we get into everything else in the figure, guys, I do want to kind of share with you in terms of the sculpt. You have to be very careful. When you get this out of the box, this collar to his trench coat is tucked under the hair, and it leaves these like little dimples and stuff on the collar. So I would suggest maybe pulling the hair off of that and kind of moving that out of the way, because over time I would be worried that that's going to kind of dig in there and damage the pleather. That's a minor gripe. That happens a lot with these figures when they do sculpted hair and they have kind of a full head of hair like this. You guys know the Hot Toys Dark Side Anakin, even a big Grail from Hot Toys has that same issue. It digs into the back, so just be very careful. In terms of the outfit, guys, I gotta be honest with you, it looks fantastic. I am very, very pleased with the look. Yes, this is a pleather, but it is a nice, soft feeling pleather. I think it feels really nice. Does that mean it's invincible to the elements? And if you have a humidity problem, will it be invincible to that? Absolutely not. I would say if you typically condition the pleather on your figures, definitely do that with this one. But let's take a little peek inside of this coat. Look at that incredible amount of detail here on the inside of the coat. I mean, guys, I think Sideshow has come a long way with their figures. They did a really, really good job with this one from what I could see here. I'm very, very pleased. You can see we have the pleather pants as well. They do tuck down into the boots, and I was a bit worried about that, but the boots have some really nice flexibility to them. It's almost like a soft rubber at the top. So I was very pleased to see that. I was thinking these are going to be like a very hard plastic, and that worried me tucking the pants down into the boots. But they thought of that, and I think they did a really good job, and I think it looks really nice how it's tucked in down there. You could see some really nice detail work on the boots. I have no complaints there. You can see some silver eyelets. We have the strings tucked in nicely. I think it looks really nice. Take a look at that tread. Not much tread to be seen there, but still very, very nice. Same nice details on the back. You can see that faux stitch work in the sculpt. and all of the different folds and such looks very, very convincing. If we take a look at the back of the coat here, you can see there are some rips and damage in the coat to replicate how it looked in the film. But again, guys, this looks really, really nice. I'm very pleased with how this pleather coat turned out. This is a very important aspect of the character, and I think they did a great job. And I will say it was a smart choice on their end to make it very soft, because not only does that make it more loose and better fitting on the figure, but also the posability is much improved because of that. And we're going to get into that after we get finished looking at all the details, but the pleather coat is very, very nice in my opinion. Of course, would I have preferred not pleather? Absolutely. Of course, we would all like to see pleather gone, but unfortunately right now that is still the standard, so that remains to be seen when that'll be changed. You could see here he does have a fabric shirt. Also, I did not mention earlier, but the neck is like a rubber material. We see that a lot from a lot of figures now, but it is a rubber material, so be careful with that when you're moving the head around. But you have a cloth here with a plastic section. This is like a plastic coating over the abdomen area, and this is real string, so I think that's a really nice detail. You could see we have some sewn in pockets here, as well as this nice little like 4 gold button design. You can see if you get even closer, there's kind of like a star detail on there. It's so small it doesn't want to focus. There we go. Also on the jacket, I didn't point it out, there's some nice buttons on here and all these different pockets and such. Just a really, really nice job. And once again, guys, I love that inner liner on the jacket. I think it looks amazing. And of course, you can't have Eric Draven without Shelly's wedding ring around his neck. If you guys have seen the movie, the manner in which he gets this wedding ring back is super badass, and it's such a memorable scene. I can't stress it enough, guys. You have to see this film. I'm not going to take the coat fully off yet. I kind of want to show you how he poses with the coat on, and then we will pan away and pull the coat off. But you can see, guys, like I said earlier, the pleather is so soft, it makes it very easy to pose the arms. I think that was a really good call from Sideshow. And also, because it has this rip, it kind of takes the tension out of that spot there, which I think is really nice. Over here, even without the rip, it poses very, very well. You could see, guys, the pleather is also super soft down here, so it does not limit the articulation whatsoever. The joints are very, very nice in the knees here. They're very, very strong joints, not loose whatsoever. Up here, they are a bit looser, but that's not to say that they're bad. It's just a looser joint. I wish it was ratcheted, of course, because I prefer ratcheted joints, but that's okay. These are really, really nice, and this is definitely a step in the right direction. You can see you can easily get a full 90 there. Obviously, be careful because this is a pleather material, but again, it's very soft and plush, so it feels really, really nice, and I'm not too worried about that. In terms of the pivoting on the boot, because we have this kind of folded down flap in the front here, like the tongue of the boot is folded down, it does give you some more rock than you would think. In terms of rocking left and right, again, because of this soft material, it definitely helps out a lot with that. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing here, guys. In terms of ab crunch, I know everybody's always curious about that. With the ab crunch, be very careful with this plastic, of course, but you can see you can get plenty out of that. I'm not going to keep mine posed like that just because I'm worried about this plastic, but also, on the shoulder joints here, you can easily get past 90. I mean, there's no complaints there, guys. The hair, again, be very careful when you're posing it. You can kind of pose the head fully forward, but with the hair, be very careful. It still rotates left and right, but just don't let it grind into this coat because you don't want that to get damaged. I'm not going to push this too far, guys, because these are pleather pants, but it could absolutely go further. I'm just not going to do it because I don't want it to get damaged. Forward, very easily. Backward, not so much, but still very, very posable. The joints here around the hip area for the legs are a bit looser, but not loose to where I think he's going to have issues standing or it's going to become very quickly loose over time. I have no complaints there. But the posability is really good, guys. I'm very pleased with that. Give me 1 second to take the coat off and we'll take a look at how he looks without the coat on. I'll be right back. All right. Now you can see, guys, I mean, this looks absolutely wonderful. Sorry we have his ring kind of dangling up there. It looks absolutely wonderful, guys. I will say the proportions on this one I much prefer over the much older Hot Toys figure. I think the proportions look fantastic. He does have that same plastic coating here that you see on the abdomen area. You can see that now that we've removed the jacket. I will say the jacket was very easy to remove. That soft pleather that they went with on this one definitely kind of aids in a lot of different kind of quality of life things for this figure. It just makes everything much easier. You can see we kind of have this cross pattern here with that plastic material, and there's some holes around in the shirt and such. It just looks really, really great, guys. And I know Sideshow Collectibles gets a lot of heat sometimes for some of their figures. We saw it recently, especially with the Star Wars stuff, but I feel like the horror stuff has always been solid for me, and this is no exception. This is a very, very special film, and to see this in a 6-scale form to where we can get it for retail, and it was just recently produced, is very, very special to me. We did not see the hands that come pre-installed on the figure, but here they are. You can see they're just fisted hands. I will say that plastic kind of makes this this wrist piece more sturdy, so you can slide it over that joint, and it looks almost seamless. It looks really, really good, guys. So I am very, very pleased with this figure. I'm really, really excited to pose them. So without further ado, let's move on to the posing segment of the video. Let me see if I can get them in some cool, iconic poses, and then we'll come back to the main camera and I'll share my final thoughts. And we are back. Before we get into my final thoughts on the figure, I did want to mention a couple things that I did not mention in the Lightbox portion of the video. Number one, I failed to mention that the trench coat does have wiring in the bottom of the coat. It does pose very well, I'm happy to say, so I did want to mention that. And also, during the posing segment of the video, when I was setting him up for a pose, I noticed that the hand that is meant to grip the katana is a little bit loose. The katana tends to slide back and forth in there, so be very careful with that when you're posing it so it doesn't fall and get damaged or anything like that. But also keep that in mind when you're looking to purchase this figure, that you will have to kind of pose it carefully when you put it in the hand, because it's not held very tightly. But with that being said, let's move into my final thoughts on the 1/6 scale Eric Draven by Sideshow Collectibles. Guys, I'm happy to say this is a very, very nicely done figure by Sideshow. Price-wise, we're looking at $250 for the standard version. If you would like the exclusive version that comes with the guitar, you're going to be spending $15 more at $265. At the time of this filming, the figure is in stock, so any in-stock coupons that you have should work on this figure. And also, if you have any rewards, of course, you could put that towards this as well. I do highly recommend this figure if you're a fan of the film. In terms of my gripes on the figure, I mentioned earlier that the hair wasn't quite as detailed as we typically see from Hot Toys, but it's not a huge deal. Also, the likeness is not 100% Brandon Lee, but again, it does look very, very nice in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of the sculpt personally. Also, with that display base, guys, I wish that Crow font would have been on the top. It's kind of pointless in my opinion to be on the bottom. Not sure why they did that, but that's okay. I can live with that. And finally, my final gripe on the figure is definitely going to be that handgun. Not the revolver, but the normal handgun. It's just not good, man. It's really not. I think they could have done a lot better. I feel like they kind of just rushed it out to throw it in with the figure because it was seen in the film. Me personally, I think I could have done without it just because it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very convincing, as 6-scale accessories that are good typically do. Not a huge fan of that. But the pros far outweigh the cons in my opinion. Number one, it is very, very posable, and it does hold poses very well in all positions, so I'm very pleased with that. Number two, I feel the pleather is very well suited to this figure. I like that they went with a soft pleather. I think that aids it a lot in posing, and also it feels like it's not super tight on the figure to where you go to pose it and you feel like you're going to damage it. I think they did a great job with that. The inner lining on that coat looks absolutely beautiful. That design is wonderful. I think they did a great job there. Again, I have to give kudos to them on the chrome paint job on some of the firearms and on the katana. I think it looks really, really good compared to what they have done in the past. I said this previously, I felt like what they did in the past wasn't good enough. It didn't really quite look like real metal to me, and I feel like they took a step in the right direction with this figure. Also, on the hands and such, it seems like they have definitely improved in the sculpting department, and I feel like the paint on the hands is much better as well. Overall, guys, I think there's a lot of things to like about this figure, even down to the boots where they kind of used a rubber plastic material so it wasn't super hard, so it was flexible, which allowed the feet to pose very well and allowed you to tuck those pants into the boots without fear of damage. So overall, guys, I am very pleased with this figure. Once again, if you are a fan of Brandon Lee and the Crow, a lot of you know this was his last film, unfortunately, because he did pass away during the filming of this movie. So this is a very special movie, and that makes this a very special figure for me. So I would definitely recommend picking this up if you're a fan. Once again, use those rewards, use those coupon codes, get a discount on this guy, and it will be absolutely worth it, trust me. If you've ever owned a horror figure from Sideshow Collectibles, it's kind of set the bar even higher than them in my personal opinion. But that's really all I have to say about it. Sideshow, if you're watching this, who knows if you will, but if you are, please keep it up with these type of releases. A lot of these other 6-scale companies are really focused on Star Wars and Marvel and DC and things like that. These are releases that we would love to see. Keep it up with the horror as well. You guys are killing it with the horror figure, so please, please keep giving the fans what they want. Hey, I mentioned this before, but I would love to see that Beetlejuice come back out. So Sideshow, if you're listening, give us that 6-scale Beetlejuice again. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching, and once again, guys, thank you so much for the incredible support. Get yourself entered into that giveaway. You guys deserve it for how supportive you have been of the channel. Once again, that giveaway is ending on Wednesday, October 19th at 11:59 p.m. EST. So get yourself entered into that giveaway. It's free. Why not? There are no people that are ineligible, so if you're in the UK, US, does not matter. Get yourself entered to win that hot toy. Have a great night, everybody, and thank you so much for watching.